Is PaddleTek back? Is this paddle actually good? And does the power stack up to the ALW-C Gen 3? Stay tuned to find out. So let's just jump right into it. PaddleTek has two lines of paddles, their Bantam series and their Tempest series. The Bantam series is PaddleTek's line of power paddles, and the Tempest line is going to be their control line of paddles. In this review, I'm going to be focusing on the Bantam line, more specifically, the brand new Bantam TKO-C 12.7 and 14.3 millimeter options, and the previously released ALW-C 12.7 and 14.3 millimeter options. Both of these paddles are played by PaddleTek's signed pros, the ALW-C being used by the world's #1 female player in Anna Waters, and the TKO-C model being used by their newly signed pro, Christian Alshon. I had previously played with Anna's paddle when it released for a couple of weeks, and I thought it was a very good paddle, but it just never had enough to make me want to play it as my main. The biggest reason for this was the shape and the short handle. Now fast forward a few months and PaddleTek has released their new TKO-C, which is the same paddle, just with a revamped shape and a different weight. I've been playing mostly with my ALW-C Gen 3 16mm paddle, and I can honestly say I've continuously been using this new TKO-C paddle more and more in my personal play sessions. The TKO-C 14.3 and 12.7 millimeters are both elongated paddles. The handle length for both of these is 5.25 inches. The grip circumference is 4.25 inches. Both paddles utilize a raw carbon fiber face. The static weight is 7.9 to 8.1 ounces. The swing weight on the 14.3 is 116, on the 12.7 is 115. The twist weight on the 12.7 is 6.7, and on the 14.3 is 6.4. These paddles are backed by a lifetime warranty and are also made in the United States of America. The price of this paddle is $229.99. And the new line of the TKO-C models, PaddleTek has finally updated their butt caps. For some reason, PaddleTek kept using this bulged out butt cap that I have never heard anyone say any good things about. It's nice to see PaddleTek finally updating this and going with a more standard end cap. The TKO-C does also come in a TKO-C Specs version, which utilizes a 5.75 inch handle and some extra weight in the sides of the paddles. At the time of this review, there have been some issues with this specific paddle, but it does seem this is being resolved, and I did not play test the TKO-C Specs paddle. I just wanted to provide some context that this is another option, but it will not be covered in this video. The ALW-C is offered in a 12.7 and a 14.3 millimeter option. Both of these paddles are standard shapes. The handle size is 5 inches. The grip circumference is 4 inches and 4.25 inches. This is customizable on their website. The paddles also utilize a raw carbon fiber face. The static weight of the 12.7 is 7.6 and the 14.3 is 7.9. The swing weight for the 12.7 is 104 and for the 14.3 is 105. The twist weight on the 12.7 is 6.7 and on the 14.3 is 6.67. These paddles also have a lifetime warranty and are made in the USA. The list price for this paddle is $229.99. However, since these paddles have been out for a few months, I have seen some websites offering them for around $180. The TKO-C and the ALW-C have crazy power for Gen 1 paddles. Now what I mean by that is, both paddles are not thermoformed like we have seen with Gen 2 paddles last year, and they also do not utilize any foam injections in the core like we are seeing with Gen 3 paddles, such as the Gearbox Pro Power, the ALW-C Gen 3s, and the new Vatic Pro Oni. However, these paddles have plenty of power, and in my opinion, I feel like this is a good spot for the USAP to come in and set the limits at. That's just my opinion and probably a topic for another video. With all that being said, my drives felt great. I felt I could control my power shots and very rarely sword a random ball out like I do with previously mentioned power paddles. I had slightly less put away power with the ALW-Cs versus the TKOs, which likely can be attributed to the handle length and the weight of the paddle. Some lead on the ALW-Cs would likely help with this issue. I know Anna Waters weights up her paddles like crazy. The 12.7 millimeter options in both the TKO-C and the ALW-C have significantly more pop off the face when at the net, but I did not notice a huge difference on my drives from the baseline. These paddles get very solid spin. The TKO-Cs were averaging around 2,040 RPMs each, and the ALW-C options were averaging around 2,090 RPMs. This is the first time PaddleTek has finally standardized raw carbon fiber faces across their lineup, something that was long overdue. My serves felt great whether I was utilizing topspin or side spin. Another huge plus on this topic is that the grit and the faces are very consistent, which is nice to see after the debacle that Yola has been dealing with. PaddleTek does manufacture their paddles in the US, which is likely why their quality control is better than most other companies that make their paddles abroad. Both of these paddles have improved sweet spots over PaddleTek's previous paddles, but I can't say they are amazing. With the TKO-C being a Gen 1 elongated paddle, the sweet spot is pretty good, but with most paddles on the market utilizing newer technology that helps with a larger sweet spot and more forgiveness, it's hard to recommend this paddle for its sweet spot. The ALW-C paddles have a much better sweet spot as they are a standard shape. These actually felt pretty good and are more up to par with current paddles on the market. If you are used to playing with thinner paddles, then these hold up pretty well to what you are used to. However, if you are used to a 16mm thermoform paddle, I am not sure if this paddle is going to feel great to you in this category. I also will say on the TKO-C, I noticed the sweet spot being a little bit higher up on the face, which works great for my game as I often am missing a little bit above the center of the paddle, especially on my drives and overhead shots. The 14.3 on both paddles do have better touch than the 12.7s, which is to be expected. I really enjoyed the 14.3s when it came to my drops and dinks. I was able to dial in my 12.7 on the TKO-C line, but I really had troubles with the ALW-C 12.7. Now, I have not added any weight to any of these paddles, and I know Anna Lee, as I previously mentioned, adds a thin layer of lead all around the perimeter of her paddle, which would help with an even larger sweet spot. I first am going to start this section off by saying if quality control, lifetime warranty, and being made in the USA are high priorities for you, these paddles are great. I personally enjoyed the TKO-C 12.7mm with a 5.25-inch handle the most. The 14.3mm TKO-C is a very good and solid paddle, but I think there are better paddles utilizing newer technology at a lower price. The TKO-C 12.7mm feels more like the Gen 3 paddles we are seeing more and more of, but with less concern about the paddle breaking. Players that should buy the TKO-C 12.7mm are players that value power, an elongated paddle shape, and good spin. Also, I just want to reemphasize, if you do not want to worry about core crushing, widespread quality control issues, then this paddle is your best current option if you want top-tier power within the legal limits. The ALW-C 12.7mm felt a bit hollow for me, and it was far too light for my liking. Both the 12.7 and the 14.3mm options are great for fast hands and a bigger sweet spot. I think these paddles are great for women with smaller hands and that like a lighter weight option. These paddles are also great for players who want customization options, as the static weight is so low, you can throw as much or little lead tape on the perimeter as you wish. I would still recommend the 14.3mm ALW-C over the 12.7, as it just had better feedback and more control. Players that should buy the ALW-C 14.3mm are those that value standard shape paddles, shorter handles, fast hands, and great power. All in all, PaddleTek is back, and I thoroughly enjoyed playtesting these paddles, and I'm confident that the TKO-C will continue to stay in my bag for the near future. I hope I was able to provide some help in your buying decision. If you have hit these paddles or have recently purchased one of these paddles, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.